Debra is trying to change direction mid-project. Kathie needs help making a quilt for her granddaughter. Ilene is struggling to pick a pattern. Let's help them out. Hi, it's Fran Morgan with Fabric Café, and I'm your Fabric Matchmaker. Have you ever started a quilt and decided halfway through that something just wasn't right? Well, Debra had that exact problem. So today I'm going to give you some tips on how to deal with that and help Debra get back on track. Let's get started. Now, Debra sent in our first swatch, and it is precious. We have a beautiful blue background with all of these birds, and these birds are all painted with flowers. I just love how they're all decorated. We have blue birds with some little flowers on their chest. Here we have a red bird with a flower on its wing, and then the flowers scattered out throughout the fabric. Really sweet, really pretty colors. Let's find out what Debra has to say about this fabric. I found this fabric at my local quilt shop a few years back. It's perfect. I was so excited to make it into a quilt. I found the perfect pattern, Roman holiday. I cut up the fabric into 9.5-inch squares, 12 to be exact. Here's my dilemma. I didn't like what I had on hand for fabric 2 and 3. I need your expertise. Please help me get this fabric made into a beautiful quilt. Your help is greatly appreciated. Well, Debra, I think we have some great tips for you and a great pattern. Now, Debra, we are showing Roman Holiday, which is your original pattern choice. And you know, I really like this pattern, so I think you were on the right track. We have a great solid square here, and you mentioned that you had already cut them. And then we have a really quick to piece block here that alternates with it, and it goes together so fast. Now, you were saying you were struggling with your 2 and 3 fabrics. Sometimes the best thing to do is switch out your fabric 2 and your fabric 3 to a little something else, and it can change the whole picture. So let's get this great pattern, Roman Holiday, on the table and look at your fabric. Now, Debra, because your fabric has so many different colors in it, you could really pull many different things. But what I wanted to focus on is to make sure that your fabric really shined as the focus fabric, because it really is sweet. So I kind of went contrasting with this. Now, your fabric is a directional fabric, so good job on picking Roman Holiday. Because the block is cut independently, it works perfect in this pattern, and it's going to go where all of these squares are here. Now, we've paired it with a number 2 that has a lot of texture. Now, I thought this fabric was perfect for your fabric because it kind of looks like the speckles on bird eggs. You know what I mean? How the little eggs always have like a little speckle to them. So I kind of thought it looked like that. And it is going to go in the background here. Now, for our number 3 fabric, I went with this kind of an orangey, pinky red here. The reason why I did this is because the orange color is like directly opposite on the color wheel of the blue, and I wanted it to really pop. However, you have this color in your birds and in your flowers, so I think it works really well. And of course, it has a bird motif on it, which I thought was great. This fabric, your number 3, goes everywhere you see the red here. And so it's going to really help anchor your fabric. And as you can see, it blends so beautifully. And there's your fabric shining. It is directional. It works perfect in those squares. That nice orangey red really works for your alternate blocks, really giving that pop that we're looking for. But our number 2 fabric has that great texture, so it keeps it interesting, which I really like. What if you're still not happy with this pattern, even after changing your matchers? Then you can change the pattern, which is really cool. Even though your blocks are already cut, there are several patterns in this book that use the same size squares as Roman Holiday. This is the Modern Charm quilt. And as you can see, we've got the same size square, so you could easily choose this. And then we have an alternate block, that churn dash, which is so cute in this. I think it works so well. It gives a little extra interest in that alternate block. And then, of course, your birds still shine beautifully. You know, I kind of like them both. I don't think you can lose going either way. I think they're both really, really sweet. and both very, very fun quilts. Now, Debra, for participating today, because you already have the Quick as a Wink book, I wanted to do something really special for you. So I'm going to be sending you our newest book, Panel Perfect 3-Yard Quilts, so that you can choose some more projects to do. And of course, I'm going to be sending you 1 yard each of that number 2 and that number 3 fabric. So thank you so much for participating, Debra. I appreciate it. Now let's see what Debra inspired for everyone else. So for all of the rest of us out there, I was so happy to find a bird fabric on a blue background, because sometimes finding these kind of matching fabrics are a little challenging, but this time I think it worked really well. We have beautiful birds in all different colors here, all on a blue background, and it's also directional, but that works in our pattern that we've chosen, so that's perfect. And of course, this is going to go in this great big block here on Roman Holiday. Then for our number 2 and 3, we've kept it the same. We have that wonderful beige with the little speckles on it that looks like robin's eggs. It's going to go in the background here. And then our yummy orangey red pink there is going to be where our red is here. And that fabric has all of those silhouettes of the birds, which I think is perfect. As you can see, it's precious. I love seeing all of those birds in that main block and how that blue background really pops off of our number 2 and 3. It really keeps it separate and the birds the focus. I think it's just so much fun. So let's see what this kit looks like in Modern Charm. And it works amazing. I just love it. So there we have our block there with our birds in it, alternated with our churn dash block, which gives it a little extra interest. So much fun, so cute. Now let's look at these side by side so you can see the difference. A little bit different style quilts, both work very, very well. And the bonus, they're both from the same book, so you get to choose. And I really like this in both patterns. I think it works either way. The kit information on this one is Wings of Comfort, and we're using our Roman Holiday pattern from Quick as a Wink. Our next fabric swatch was sent in by Kathie. And Kathie, this fabric is gorgeous. I love it. You know me, I love bold color, and this swatch has some bold color. I love it. We have our reds, oranges, pinks, blues, greens. It is fantastic. And all on this really bold abstract background, we have just a faint outline of a floral. And it just gives it a little bit of interest to really make you like look deeper and look a little closer because the bold color is there. I can totally understand why this fabric drew you in. So let's find out why Kathie bought this fabric. Hello, Fran. Some time ago, I saw this fabric and could not resist purchasing it. It is so full of delightfully happy colors. I wanted to make a pretty quilt for my sweet, sensitive granddaughter for Christmas. I haven't a clue what to put with it. Would you please help me? I have been addicted to your 3-yard quilts and have several books. Much appreciated for your kind assistance with this. Kathie, I think we have something just perfect for you. Let's go check out the quilt. Now, Kathie, sometimes when you get stuck and you're not sure what to do with your fabric, one of the best things to do is just to sit down and relax, maybe a cup of tea, and just thumb through your patterns and books. I know it's very inspirational for me to do that, and often as you do that and you just relax, something will jump out at you and you go, that's it, that's what I want to do. So that is one good tip and one way to do it. Now, you mentioned that you had the Quick as a Wink book, and there are some great, great patterns in there. Modern Charm is one of those patterns in that book. This is a perfect pattern for your fabric, I believe, because your fabric has bold colors and it's a little abstract, so it just really radiates color, but not necessarily an object, okay? It's gonna be right here and be gorgeous. Now, because your fabric's a little more abstract, we alternated it with a block. We wanted to pick something that had a block with some interest. So the Modern Charm has this great block here. It's gonna help balance your bold color with some really great piecing. So it's gonna work really well. Now let's get it on the table and let's share what we have matched with your great fabric. Now Kathie, your fabric, we've placed it in the #1 position and it is so bold and so vibrant. I wanted our 2 and 3 fabrics to support it without overwhelming it. It goes in this larger block here so that it's really gonna shine and you're really gonna get a great taste of all of those vibrant colors and the outlines of your flower. So it's really gonna shine in that position. Now for our #2, we went very subtle, and this is kind of a pale yellow. I didn't want to go totally white on this, but this pale yellow is gonna read a little bit like white, but it gives a little bit of dimension to it, just a little bit of extra flavor. That is gonna go in the background everywhere you see the paler blue on this one. And then for your #3, we have done a texture here that is a paler blue that picks up the blues in your fabric. I really like this with it. It's gonna be a subtle taste for a #3, because usually our #3s are really bold, but I didn't want to fight with your focus fabric. I wanted your focus fabric to stay the star. So I went a little bit more subdued on our #3. That is gonna go everywhere. You see the fabric in the churn dash here and a little bit on the border. I love how it all comes together. And I think the #3 fabric bordering all of that really gives it a nice frame. And your fabric absolutely is the star of this quilt. But the alternate block is also very interesting, but your eye is so drawn to that color. It's just that wow and that happiness, keeping that joy in the fabric and the quilt. I think it just works perfectly. Sometimes you might want to change your pattern because you think the pattern maybe is not quite the right style for who you're making it for, or maybe you pick something with half square triangles and you just are not wanting to do them right now, maybe something a little quicker or something like that. So we've got it in Soho here. I think this is so much fun. I love the movement of that alternate block. It kind of looks circular with the hole in the middle, you know. I think it's really fun, and your fabric still shines in this. I really think it's an extra interest for this pattern. Now let's check it out in another one. Now Roman Holiday, you know, is a super, super fast pattern. It's one of our go-tos. It's a little bit more structural with the way that it's put together in the design, because you have the squares for your focus fabric that really pop, but then it creates that square behind, almost like your focus is floating on top. And this pattern is a super, super fast one. It's gonna go together great. Looking at all 3 of these side by side, I don't think you can go wrong. All of these are fantastic. So I think that the best thing to do is to pick the one you like the best for your granddaughter. Now, Kathie, because you already have our Quick as a Wink book, which all 3 of these patterns that we showed are in the Quick as a Wink book, we're going to send you our newest book, Panel Perfect 3-Yard Quilts. Lots of great options in this book for your fabrics as well. Now, I'm also going to be sending you the #2 and #3, 1 yard each, for participating today. Thank you so very much. All right, let's see what we have for everyone else. Kathie inspired me to look for a fabric that has lots of bold color, because I really thought Kathie's fabric was gorgeous. So I got really, really close here. We have a beautiful batik with all these colors in the background, just like Kathie's. We have our blues and our greens and our purples and pinks, and it's just so gorgeous. I think it works really well. This is our focus fabric. It will be going into our large block here. Now we've paired it with our nice kind of soft yellow here as our background. It's going to go everywhere the blue is here. And then the same beautiful blue with the tone-on-tone leaf pattern here that coordinates so perfectly with our focus fabric. It's going to be our churn dash and our border here. Wow, I really love this. And I love the way the blue contrasts with our really pale yellow, so that you really see that churn dash pop, but your eye is actually really drawn to that focus fabric. I really like how bold the focus fabric is. So much color and happiness in this. But let's check it out in another pattern. Here it is in Soho. We keep that happy going with that great circular alternate block. Lots of fun to put together. And once again, that bold color and the big block, the big square really, really shines through. Now, what about Roman holiday? Look at this. Here we go. We have the squares floating on top of the squares and that bold color still shining through. That beautiful border in our number 3 fabric. I think it works so beautifully. So when you get the Quick as a Wink book, you've got some options here. Look at all 3 of them together. All of them work so, so very well. So if you were to go in and cut your blocks, you decided to change midway, you can do that, which is awesome with 3-yard quilts. I love that. All right, let's get you the kit information for this. It is called Made of Joy, and it's our modern charm from the Quick as a Wink book. Now, Ilene sent in our next fabric, and oh, what fun this fabric is. We have all of these signs that talk about vintage diners, pale pink background, and we have hot dogs and donuts and cups of coffee and hamburgers and ice cream among all of these really cool vintage signs. It kind of takes you back. I mean, I think it is so, so cool. I absolutely love this fabric, Ilene. So fun. What a treasure. All right, let's see what Ilene has to say about it. I absolutely love music and memorabilia from the 50s and 60s. So when I saw this fabric several years ago, I just had to have it. It reminded me of a 50s diner and waitresses on roller skates. My only problem was what to do with it. Well, last Christmas, my sister bought me a quilt ladder for my living room so that I could display my quilts, and I would like my guests to be able to take a quilt if they desire to do so. I would be so grateful if you would help me match fabrics and a pattern so that I can make a beautiful quilt for a potential guest. Well, Ilene, I think we have something so fun for you. Let's go check it out. Now, Ilene, I love your fabric and the retro charm of it. I think it is so great. And of course, we need to put it in a pattern that has a bigger block so that we can really see the fabric. And of course, your fabric has that great retro feel. And I chose Soho because I think it also kind of has that retro flavor that your fabric does. Now your fabric is going to go in this nice size block here, and it's going to alternate with these kind of circular blocks. They almost look like donuts to me sometimes, but I think it's a very cool shape and it kind of gives that retro feel. So let's get this on the table and find out what we've paired with your fabric and how great it looks in this pattern. So Ilene, we put your fabric in the number 1 position because of course we want that to be the star. So it's in this really big block here on our Soho pattern. When choosing matchers for your fabric, I wanted to keep the vintage feel. I didn't want to stray from that and just keep it plain. I wanted to keep the fun going because I think your fabric is so much fun. So we found these geometric prints that have that vintage feel to them. So for our number 2 fabric, we have this nice gold. That is going to be your background here, everywhere you see the cream on this one. Now the next one, and I just love this fabric. I love the way it coordinates with your focus fabric. It's all the diamond shades with the little starburst, just a little bit in there. And it's going to give us so much fun in this position here. And you know, you mentioned roller skates, and it reminded you of a diner with the waitresses on roller skates. And then we have this shape here. It makes me think of the roller skates and the donuts and all the fun things that your fabric kind of brings to mind. I think it's very cool. I love the way your fabric sets the whole tone of this quilt. And you can see all your diner signs, all the fun things, and then the blue and yellow just keep that vintage pop going, which I really like. And the blue really gives some nice interest in our alternate block with that circular shape. I think it is so much fun. I really like it. Now, let's keep all this fun going. What would Ilene's fabric look like in a different pattern? I love this too. You know, sometimes our patterns just seem like chameleons, and it doesn't matter what you put in them. Any 3 yards works with any 3-yard quilt. And this diner fabric looks fantastic in Roman holiday too. The blue, the number 3, and those background blocks, I think just work so perfectly, and your diner fabric is just coming forward in that #1 position to keep that fun going. I really, really like it. Now here they are side by side, very cool, very different feels, but both very good, and it kept that retro kind of feeling going, which I think is just so perfect. Ilene, for participating today. Of course, we're going to be sending you 1 yard of the fabric #2 and #3, and we're going to be sending you the book Quick as a Wink, and this has the patterns that were shown here on the screen so that you can choose which one you would like to make, because they all look fantastic. Now let's see what Ilene has inspired for everyone else. Now I was pretty excited to be able to find a fabric that had a similar kind of feel as Ilene's. It's a diner fabric, and there's a jukebox with records and people sitting down visiting, and there's the counter with the coffee and the waiter back there. I even can see a waiter here with roller skates on, which I think is perfect because I know that Ilene said she could already see them roller skating by. Well, here we go. All of our waitresses have roller skates on, which I think is so perfect. Same pink background. Love this fabric. It's going in our big block here on Soho as our #1. It's going to really shine. Now we've paired it with the same really fun geometric yellow here. That will be our background, the center here, as well as the border in our corners. And our #3 is this fun blue, which of course, as a retro color, it's the perfect color blue, coordinates so well with our diner fabric. It is going to go into this area here where you see the pink and a little bit of that on the border. This is so much fun. I mean, I think it is so cool that we have our diner scene in our focus fabric, that little circular pattern making us think of roller skates or donuts or all the good things that we remember from that time. And I think the colors work really well, keeping that vintage feel. But let's keep the fun going and see what it looks like in Roman holiday. I love the way the diner fabric, I know I keep saying this, it comes forward, but whenever I see that focus fabric, it just really comes forward on this. We have that alternate block creating that square in the background. The blue is the perfect color. I love the way the yellow and blue, the 2 and 3 fabric, are both against the focus fabric to help bring out those colors in the focus fabric. It's going to work in either pattern, and it looks great in either one. I think they're really, really nice. Love Roman Holiday with that blue border. Love the Soho with those circular shapes. So much fun. Either one is a winner. All right, let's get the information for you for the kit. It is called Diner Days, and it's the Soho pattern from Quick as a Wink. Now, I'd like to share a quilt that was made by Martina. She participated in our episode 21, and she sent in this very retro fabric that had flowers and vases in the window. It kind of had that 70s feel, which I thought was very cool. Now, we put it in Roman Holiday from the Quick as a Wink book, and I think it turned out beautifully, Martina. I think you did a great job. And I really love the way that your fabric has the window on it, but these squares in there almost look like there's a window on the quilt, and it just worked out perfectly. Great job, Martina. Absolutely love it. Now, thank you to everyone today who participated. Fabulous fabric. We really appreciate it. And thanks for sending in pictures of your finished quilts like Martina did. It's such a joy to see them. If you have participated in Matchmaker and would like to send in a picture of your finished quilt, just send it to matchmaker@fabriccafe.com. If you would like to see what all 8 patterns in the Quick as a Wink book are, then be sure to watch the video that pops up. It's Fran Morgan, your Fabric Matchmaker.